Hello viewers, welcome to Widows Youth Podcast. On our show today, we are hosting Arimah Bangura on a topic, how Arimah transformed a passion into a business. Arimah will introduce herself to you. Arimah, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me. My name is Arimah Catherine Sylvia Nakosa Pago, but you could call me the Arimah. And I'm the creative artist and the owner of the Arimah Enterprise, and I am the coordinator of Arimah's Leading Club, which is a safe space and a creative space for arts.
Thank you very much. Arimah, can you please take us through your early life and teenage years?
That's actually a beautiful one because I spent my early years in the Gambia. Conception for me took place in Gambia. I was born here though, and I went back to Gambia at the age of 1, and I stayed there till about 3 years of age, and then we came back to Sierra Leone where I started Moedin Preparatory School, and I moved on to the Animals Memorial School, and I went to the Modern High School and ended at the University of Sierra Leone Public College to be precise, which I still am at as a Master of Philosophy student and also lecturing there as well.
Okay, so as a teenager growing up in Sierra Leone, what was both Sierra Leone and Gambia, what was it like switching countries and learning new traditions? And as a teenager, how was it for you?
I would first of all say, as an adolescent, it was difficult for me at first because I had to transition between speaking Wolof and English, and now I had to now mix Creole into it. So I find it difficult to speak Creole at first, so I only knew English and Wolof. So people had difficulties conversing with me till I started learning the Creole and I was able to deal with it. Whilst in my teenage years, I settled in quite well, not a problematic kid. I was always studying, always with my books. So I guess that grounded me to the adult I am now.
You can tell. So pretty much growing up in Freetown and going through the education system in Freetown, Fabi College to be precise, how was life in Fabi College? Were you at the hostels? Were you colleging from home? How was it like? What the experience was for you?
For me, it was quite of a smooth sail, I must say, because I've got really tight-knit parents. Well, my dad passed 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. July would be 4 years that he passed away. That's okay. I stayed at home with my parents. I still stay at home with my mom. And I went to the university without any hitches. I did not join any sorority or clubs or anything because I did not feel the need to belong to a sect for me to be somewhere. I knew if I wanted to make a change, I can do that on my own, not by mixing myself with some other thing or whatever it is. And I thrive alone by myself. I always call myself a lone wolf because I thrive by myself. So for me, studying, even study groups, I just join them in the mornings, the afternoons. At night, I come home, I study by myself. I'll still make my A's and my B's. That's how I survived.
For someone who is an educationist, what was the role of mentorship growing up for you?
That is a bit of a struggle, I would say, because especially in terms of my business, for education, I would say my grandma, she inspires me because she got her PhD at the age of 60.
Wow.
So I made a promise to myself to get a PhD at the age of 30, and that's what we're working on, and that's why I'm about to have my MPhil. Then probably next year or year after next, I'll start doing my PhD. So that's a form of mentorship at some point. But when it comes to my business, I cannot tell you that I got the mentorship that I needed. And that is why I now have the space or the platform to create that accommodating space for people like myself to actually ask me questions and I answer, whether they're old enough, older than me, whether they're younger than me, because I was not greeted with that love and that accommodation that I needed when it came to the industry that I'm at now. Because it's like a cutthroat place where everyone thinks that, oh, you're coming for my gold. And for me, I always do things to stand out, and I'm an artist. As an artist, you need to think out of the box, you need to be creative and all that stuff. And I found people who I thought were supposed to be my mentors actually were the ones that were crying me down a bit, but I've moved past that, and that's why I made the bold decision to actually be different from what they actually did to me. So now when people come to me, I'm an open book. I can't give you all my trade secrets, but I can try to help you and guide you through.
Wonderful. You know, for someone in Sierra Leone trying to path their ways, both personal lives and professional life, it's somehow a bit thrilling. So me asking all those questions is for me to unlock some of the secrets for my audience to know how to patch both lives and how to be able to sail through successfully. Because we see you now as a success growing up and being an educationist, a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, trying to make your way in Freetown. It's really not easy, and without mentorship at times, we're a bit moved out of the way. So how do you normally blend your personal space and your professional career?
Like you said, there's balance. I always try to have balance. I'm not the type of person that always goes out. I am much more concerned about my work, and I might be fixated on it, and I might be a workaholic. So if I'm less busy, I would think that I'm not doing enough, but then in reality, I'm actually doing a whole lot.
Okay.
So yeah, now that we have the university lecturing there, me being a student there as well, and I have my business and I have the reading club, which is soon to be turned into a library and a resource center, all these things have time. I plan these things, I plan the timing, and I make sure that I have time for my books, I have time to socialize. And for me, like I said, I love my own space. So the only way I know how to have fun is probably just go to a restaurant, have my dinner by myself, look at the sea, listen to music, paint, or write. Because now I'm about to release a kid's book that I've already written and illustrated. Probably this year or next year would have them produced and printed and sold out to people.
Wow, this is really wonderful. So, what's the role of religion in your journey?
Oh, it's quite big. For me, I'm massive in terms of acknowledging God, because if it weren't for Him, I don't think I'll be here. I always say God is the architect and the mastermind of whatever is happening now, because I think He knew that I was going to lose my dad, and that is why He gave me the initiative to start. I don't know why, but He did, because best believe my family at some point, they were against what I'm doing, and everybody was like, no. Even my dad was like, I have money I could give you, you don't need to work for anybody, you don't need to stress out. I was like, no. And I did it, and 4 years later, after everything is done, the clouds are settling in and all of that, I ended up having to take my father's shoes, being a breadwinner of the home with my business, and we've been able to survive 4 years after his passing. So for me, God has been faithful, and I do not leave Him out. Even when I go to work, I think that's one of my major secrets that I would let out. When I go to work, I always pray before going to work. And I always say a particular, specific word. When I'm going to do this, I do not want these people to see me. May they see you. Because if they see you, then you would be glorified, and then you would take the praise, and then it would not be like it's coming from me, because He gave me that initiative and the wisdom to do what I need.
Wonderful. The reason behind all these questions is that, you know, the youths of today tend to forget about their maker, and it affects most of the decision making. When you make decisions without consulting your God, without having a conversation with Him, without putting Him at the center of those decisions, sometimes we tend to make decisions that we later on get to regret. So me asking whether religion played a part, I'm coming from that perspective. So also, what inspired you to start your creative art program?
I would say my mom. When we came back from the Gambia, my mom was being trained by a Nigerian who opened a school in the Gambia during the time of the war, and I was lucky enough to be a pioneering student of that particular school, which I would be going to see probably in May. After 23 years,
Wow.
I'll be going back to Gambia, but just for a few days and all that stuff. So Auntie Dara taught my mom this particular skill that I'm doing, apart from the face painting with decorations. So immediately after the war, post Civil War, my mom was one of the pioneering people when it comes to decoration here in Sierra Leone. I would beat my chest and I'll tell you that, because she worked with a lot of big brands, from Riri to Celtel at that time, which is now Orange. And she did so many amazing designs, and there's one particular one that I haven't broken my mom's record. If I can do that, then I think I would definitely say that I've broken my mom's record, which was spelling Celtel with balloons in the water and they floated. And nobody, absolutely nobody has done it here in Sierra Leone. I'll tell you that for a fact.
Wow, wow. You know, if your mom was my mom, probably I would say she should be my mentor. Honestly. But it's good growing up with people who encourage you to be able to show your craft. Okay, you know, probably in Sierra Leone is maybe only the West African state that's frown at most of these creative art and stuff. Because when you go to Nigeria, when you go to Ghana, there is actually a platform already set up for children to start doing all of these things at an early age, so they will be able to grasp the understanding and love for it. But when it comes to Sierra Leone, we only want to go to school, get the education, and start dragging over job and all that. Okay, so it's a bit confusing, because I went to Nigeria and I saw what others are doing when it comes to training their child to be able to balance schooling and learning of skills. But in Sierra Leone, we just think about schooling, and after you come back and start searching for jobs. But if you at least you're able to learn the skills before you and while you're schooling, and after you're able to be self-employed and you only rely on yourself, it helps so much. And I believe that has also helped you to be the woman you are today. So balancing the face painting, the child party, the children party, and all that, how has that been playing major role in your life? What pushed you to that extent?
So
to couple up the painting, the face painting, the children parties you're organizing, the corporate and all of that.
Okay, so now my business started from very humble beginnings. I started with face painting, and I was not satisfied. It might be crazy to say or absurd, but then I'm never satisfied. I'm never complacent when it comes to life. I always want to do more. When I had my first degree, I asked myself, okay, Arimah, what are we going to do? What next? And I went to study law for 2 weeks at University of London, but then I thought to myself, this is too expensive and it would cut down on my family, and that would be a thorn in the flesh. So I had to sacrifice that, and I quit after 2 weeks. And I told myself, okay, Arimah, what's next? And I had to go in for my Master of Philosophy, investing in yourself. So for me, it's the same thing with my business. I invested into myself. I was not complacent enough to say, okay, you know what, I'm doing face painting. I was charging at that time 10 million per child, and it was not enough for me. I knew I could do more. I can do more. So I saved up $100 by working for model to FBC for 3 months to save $100.
Wow.
in 2019. I'll never forget that.
Wow.
And I am very proud of that because that got me my first electric balloon pump. Because the pumps that were available were the ones that you have to use manually, and it hurt my arms a lot. And if you're not careful, you go get muscle. And I didn't want to have that. So with the electric pump, I just need to press and it's blown up. And I'm quite fast with it. So, and it was not coming in large quantities here in Sierra Leone. So I saved up. I worked every day. Like, people would laugh at me. I'll come to school, to class, my shoes would be dusty, like I'll be disheveled. But I knew what I wanted at the end of the day, and I didn't want to ask my parents for money because I wanted to be financially independent. Because my parents, like I said, they were very close-knit. If I don't even ask my mom to buy sanitary pads, she would get angry. So I knew I needed to break out of it somehow, and I bought my electric balloon pump. And crazy enough, I didn't even have money to clear it from Aramex. I had to ask my friend who had to loan me. Okay, he paid for me.
Okay.
He paid for it, and then I was able to take it. I only had money to buy it from Amazon, and it came to Sierra Leone, but I was not able to clear it, but he cleared it for me, and I used it. So from then on, I started doing kids' parties, but then I was not also satisfied. I knew I could do more. There's something I need to find to do. And I started thinking about weddings, but I was a bit skeptical because in my mind I'm like, I'm a 21-year-old, I have never been married, I don't even know what a wedding looks like or planning it. How would someone older than me trust me to do their weddings for them? But fast forward to now, I think we would be hitting our mark of doing the 40th wedding soon. And I still have not been married and all of that. But one thing I loved about this journey and the transition is the fact that I always pushed myself and I was disciplined with myself. Because I told myself if I did not enter into the honors class, then I'd have to stop my business, because there's always a thin line between entrepreneurship and education. Sometimes when you have a lot of money, you tend to forget about the education. But I made sure that I had to pair my education with the entrepreneurship, and that was how I was able to move on. So I started doing weddings bit by bit. I made some mistakes along the way, and I started correcting them with time. And the first person who trusted me with a wedding, I will never forget, Miss Precious Amabel Levy Smith, Mrs. And she gave me a wedding. I was like, I don't know anything. Why would you give me your wedding? Like, I don't know. And she paid me my first millions. Probably, I think it was 10 million or 12. I can't remember. So I look forward to having to do her renewal of vows. And I'll definitely see how I can pull that off, because now we've grown and she's watching me grow. And also, I started slowly from clients' recommendations. Whilst doing the kids' party, clients started bringing me into their offices. So if I can work with big brands like Orange, Freetown Terminal, what's their name? The lawyers, Sierra Leone Bar Association, and all the other big names that I've worked with, it is through these kids' parties the clients referred me because of professionalism. It doesn't mean because you're young, you cannot be professional. You cannot be cordial with older people because of the respect and the cordiality. That is why they thought it fit to not just keep me in their families, but to also share me with their workplaces.
Wow, this is getting interesting. I think for youth, especially the ladies, who tend to always think that they cannot push themselves to success, I think you have a mentor. You really have a mentor. If I were you, I would try to get in contact with her to see how best she can push me for more glory. Because imagine walking from model to Fabre College for a school year. Right?
For 3 months.
3 months, okay. For 3 months, just to save a goal. A goal, you don't know you're able to actualize it or not, but you have this vision and all that. It's interesting, and also it's something we need to learn how to take ourselves onto. Most times we have desires, we have goals, we want to achieve things, but we don't want to stress our bodies.
Sure.
We don't want to push ourselves to the limits.
Sure.
And that kills the dream. And from what you just shared, I think it shows the blessing of work. I think when you push yourself, the Lord will bless
Exactly.
your handwork.
Sure.
And from just small and simple things, you have come to become a mighty woman, I would say.
Consider the parable of the talents. Where
Yeah.
Jesus gave 5,
Yeah.
5 turned it into 10.
She did that by herself, all by herself, and discipline. Don't forget discipline. It's very, very, very intriguing. You need to be disciplined, my fellow youths. If you are disciplined, you will be able to walk yourself to places you can't imagine. And also, while balancing everything from colleging at Faber College, doing the face printing, and then and other works, what have been the challenges you faced along the way?
I would say the major challenge that is always recurring is capital, because you can't have monopoly over the things that we need for our industry. There are terms, there are furnitures that come in, and you would really want to have them, but then at the end of the day, you do not have money. You do not have people willing enough to believe in you, to invest in you. Best believe they'll say, oh, I see you, I'm proud of you, you're doing well, but that's where it ends. And I think I wrote a lot of business plans and I shared it with a lot of people in 2024, and which leads me to the next problem that I faced, which was ageism and sexism. Because I am a woman, you find out that a lot of people want to take advantage of your vulnerability, and because you're here asking for a loan or asking for an angel investment and all of that, they'll take it as a wrong signal. And for me, I do not want my business to be in a particular space where someone would look at me years down the line when I want to speak with my head up high and someone points at me, say, keep quiet. We know what you've done. So I want to actually stand tall and proud and actually say, yes, I did that, and with God, and I actually did that.
You can really beat your chest that
Exactly.
I did this all by myself.
So another thing, ageism, I've been getting it a lot. I still do get it because a lot of clients will come to you and they would speak to you over the phone, and when they hear me speaking over the phone, they would think that they're talking to someone who's older, and in their mind they're like, oh no, I'm big woman, and they talk to and all that stuff. And the minute I stand in front of them, they're like, this small picking, they talk to all this while. And I'm like, if I'm a kid, then you should not actually come to me. I have what you need. You need me. I basically don't need you to some extent. But if you're here, it's because of what I have, what I possess. Like, it was way worse when I was 21, 22, 23, because there was some amount of monies that I would charge, whether in dollars or leones, and these people would look at me and they'll be like, wow, for pay this small picking, all that money there. So, and it's money that actually helps us to actually build the business.
Yeah.
Without money, it doesn't take you from point A to point B. And now April would be my 6th year in business. And for a business to be consistent in that form, best believe it needs money as the backbone and the pillar to actually run.
Definitely. The thing of ageism has to do with professionalism. If you are professional, you definitely know it doesn't count. When I give my best to satisfy customers' needs, you just have to pay the bills.
Exactly.
As this lyric it says something power in the lyric say, if I do the work or if I work the work, you need for give me what I forget, right? So you don't need for come and begin to discriminate me of age, say I'm small and everything. No, you don't need that. So also, how have you been able to balance, I think, you being a political science student, right?
Yes.
And all of these career path. The masters, face painting.
I do not have a cheat code to it, but like I said, I just try to find it balanced. My day is pretty much ruled by my clients. So I don't have like a fixed schedule. So if I tell you I have a fixed schedule, that's a lie. I could wake up in the morning and the client is like, oh, I need you to check this venue for me. Could you send me an invoice? Like, da 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 da. So it got to a point where now I looked at it and I was like, no, I need to have a personal assistant. So now I hired a personal assistant. And having to deal with the reading club, which is like the resource center, I hired a coordinator. So at least I'm able to relegate the, what's it called? The duties among people, division of labor, as they say. So for me, I think when it's time for you to actually divide what you have, then you can. And you are able to win that way. I can't be in 10 places at the same time. It's not possible. So I try my best as possible to make sure that I have other people in my stead. Anything can happen. I might be sick. I do not wish ill on myself. But then I might travel out of Sierra Leone. So I have other people. I have staffs that are there to represent me. Like for instance, now I have an event which is dealing with the Indians. And I have my staff there. I'm not there physically. Okay. So they are already doing the job. So for me, I have so much pride in them, and I make sure that I take them through with the process when I am building. And that is why I try as best as possible to have a healthy work environment. Some of them are older than I am. Some of them are way younger than I am. But I am not discriminating, choosing women over men. I am working with both genders because I want to see male decorators. I want to see male illustrators. Women have a lot, yeah? But then I also want to see the young boys win. That is why when I came with my reading club initiative, I did not just say I want only girls. I took both boys and girls. Because if we're able to instill in the boys good manners, etiquettes, and all of that, they can then become gentlemen and good husbands when they grow up.
Definitely, definitely. This is much already. So, also, as an entrepreneur, how have you been able to lace up with some of your staffs? Youth, Milo's Youth podcast is always about youth. Mm-hmm. How have you been able to teach them some of the ethics, code of conduct towards your business, how to face customers, how to talk to them, and how have you been able to shape the youths?
Well, like I rightfully said, so for now I have a staff, like 10 staff, okay. Even though they're like contractual, because I do not do the payments monthly. It would be you literally stealing from them, because think about it this way: you have 5 events in a month and you pay someone at the end of the month $1,500,000. Make it make sense? So if you're being paid per event, depending on how the events are, you get to receive probably $1 million for a day. You get to receive, if it's not that much, 500 for a day. The next event you get to receive 700 as per the event structure, as per the payments that is being given to us. We divide it and we make sure we compensate these people. At the end of the day, when you check their monthly wage, it's more than someone who actually works in an office.
Definitely.
So that is the smartest way. Because if I were to pay them monthly, I would be running at a loss. So that is how I get to work with them as first. And then secondly, I try to give them autonomy, as in control, and I allow them to have an opinion. It's not just me. It's not just my way or the highway. Yes, I would have the blueprints down, illustrated. I want this. But I still come back and ask them, what do you think about this? You think that this fine? No change them, no change them. That makes a good boss, or that makes a good leader. Because if you can ask your subordinates to give their opinions, and it's not just about you, then you're able to thrive. And we're all a team. We play, we joke, we laugh. There's no tension. It's only when my mom's around, that's when everybody goes into their shell.
Definitely.
So when my mom comes, they're like, let me put like when mommy they come. But when I'm there, everybody can do what they want. Sometimes though, it could be a disadvantage because they will be playing with their phones. I'm like, put that phone down. But that's just about it. And then when it comes to professionalism, they do know that they are supposed to speak respectfully to the client, even though sometimes some clients could be really, really annoying, but they know as best as possible to talk to them, to calm them. Because I think Friday we almost had an incident where the venue asked us to leave, but then my staff was able to control that particular space and we were allowed to walk instead of actually leaving the space.
Okay. Really, from all what you've said, I think say we need to also learn how to pay staff them by time, per time, because it gets more advantage than the disadvantages,
Exactly.
in my opinion. Because my first job was a part-time job. I was working twice a week. In 2 weeks' time, I'll be earning like 500 by then for just basic work. Okay, and also you'll be schooling. You'll be doing your own work at your own time while doing that part-time job. But most of the time, we all look at monthly earning as if saying a boku money they give you and all. So people and they always shy off when it comes to these kind of jobs. All people, everybody wants for secure office job, black and white, with man business and stuff. But they're not really they get the attractive salary. But everybody just want for sure say, nah, that's why I work and office at work. And I think say it's about time youth we begin to be skeptical about how we choose jobs then. Okay, because if you're able for balance your own personal life with a job and you earn something where you say able for sort out some bills then with I think say it's advisable that we're going for this job than you say you don't get work and you just strand and every day with the bag and then a street and all that. It can be so discouraging at times. Most of the time now you walk any side of Wilkins Road or Freetown, you must meet out of 1 kilometer you must meet 5 bigger man than when are young able people and way no one to go out and search for job. And from everything you don't say it's clear. Discipline need for day in the office and everything for set up in that way. And also once you talk we are also like so much now the fact that you know that sort of the savior kind of leader. Instead of that traditional leader where they always Nami na the boss, Nami for do so, Nami action, for take Nami. No, you always the council with you work as them and see out the best possible means and how to take decision. I think that they always can be one of the best way for make decision because if you listen to the people and where you work with, then able for advice because they are mostly in the field and they know waiting and keep.
And you can just blend ideas together and you
Sure.
come out pretty well.
Sure. So, what are some of the key skills you think say essential for young Sierra Leoneans we want for turn them passion to business?
One thing I would say is determination. They should be determined. You should know what you want because that is where it all starts. For me, every single year before the year rolls in, I always have goals that I set for myself. They need to be realistic, bite-sized goals that you can actually achieve, not just ones that you think you can actually have so big, so grandiose, and it will take you a long time for you to actually break them down. But break down bite-sized goals where you think to yourself, or you look at yourself and you be like, I think this can be walkable, this can be done, this can be made into a beautiful space, and then that can help you. And also you need to be respectful. Respect takes you so far. If I can move in these 6 years, it's because I was respectful to people. A lot of people, but I will tell you in this past 6 years, I've had a lot of mothers, a lot of fathers, a lot of uncles, a lot of sisters, a lot of brothers who have adopted me just because of the respect. And I will tell you these are returning clients because at the end of the day, they do the talk for me. I just have to sit down. My work speaks for me. Like they do the finding. Most people, there's one person I would definitely mention, Miss Gladys. When I was building my house last year, I ran way low on resources. She just called in and she knew I didn't have as much stuff for me to handle the wedding, but then she called about 2 years ago and she was like, I need you to do my wedding. I think she came to me the time that I was graduating. I was 22 at that time, 22 going on 23, when she told me I was going to do her wedding, and I just laughed at it because just like Sarah laughed in the Bible. And I was like, but I don't have anything, why would she want me to do her wedding? And when she came back to me and she said, I need you to do my wedding, send me the bill, and I sent her the bill. She didn't even have to say, oh, it used for me, she just paid. And that helped me to finish building my house. Fast forward to last year again, the same person again, Mrs. Joseph Kamara, she came back again at that time. Now she's married, and I had to pay my school fees for my master's because at that time, of course, my dad is not alive and I don't want to go to any family member. She came again and she was like, I have a wedding for you to do, which was triple what she paid. I can't say the figures, but it was really hefty. I was able to pay my school fees. I had change to do the work. I had more to pay my staff. I had more to buy a lot of things for my business and even invest into another building project that I had already taken up and all that stuff. So when I look back, as much as I want to say, oh, my business stood by me, with me and my mom, but there are pivotal people that were underneath that actually propelled me. The likes of Madam Yoko, Yoko Refu Wise. I never was able to, I never dreamed of or imagined of working for the Sierra Leone Bar Association. She was the one who stuck her neck out. And she was like, you see this birthday, I'm coming to do my party, I don't have enough. I'm going to pay you X amount, but I need you to work your best. And best believe what she paid me, I worked triple times what she paid. And when they came, everybody was blown away. And I was literally the host of the party, making sure everybody had drinks to drink, making sure everybody was okay. So she was the one telling people, you see that small bikini where they go waka waka, so you see how he compose, you see how he determine, you see how he wait and color. Now then kind people are sooner for the work with. So by that time, a lot of people took my card. A lot of people started contacting me. And it just came flowing in. So if you're respectful, you're determined, you persevere. Because best believe when I started my business, there were a whole lot of people coming in, other women, thinking I was making a lot of money. And that particular 10-day, balloons were being sold at 50 euros by a pack of 100. Okay. And now, when you look at the market, it's been sold at what? 150 to 200 euros per packet, just because a group of people thought I was making a lot of money from that. So people are now beginning a AC price because of Dandy. And it was crazy. A lot of people were coming in, oh, we sabi do this thing, so we go do one cheap for you and all Dandy. So it kind of stifled me a bit. But then when people understood that, no, she's different, I did not just stay with the balloons. I started building props because I saw that there was a need for it. You have to look at the market. You have to look at your sphere. What is missing? What can I do? It's not all the time we go for the ask Papa government. What are you able for do? When I looked at my community, I saw that nobody was doing anything towards education. Always when they come, it's market, water. What about education? Me, I like book. I like for read. So I took it upon myself, started buying books for the kids, and made sure that I used my house as a library. And now, as we could tell, it has now grown. But yeah, those are the 3 things that I think people should actually know.
If I normally be watch this program from the audience perspective, I think I need a pen and paper to just write everything down. Because everything just breathtaking. Like, I can learn from each spoken word from you. Okay? I think say perseverance and you name them. You need them as youth growing up in these days of our Lord. Everything too hard. Yeah. Like you want to be a capitalist, another day, another Leones. But also you want to be somebody who need to get education. You need to be persevere. You want to do this, you want to do that. Sometimes it can be frustrating for make you get people the way they kill the spirits, like for balance the book. The work, just like we say iron, when you begin get the Leone's Boku, you tend to forget the education side. But you need perseverance, you need hard work, you need respect, you need for treat people in a way that tomorrow when you need them, they will jam their chest for you, say, yeah, that person they good at what they do, and I think say I need for help. If as youths we try for inculcate this perspective of waiting Arimah mention, it will take we go far. You go enter in a rooms then where you self no go believe say any kind way for enter, just based on them working ethics and the way you don't get out. So most of the time when you can decorate, are you able for compliments the local forms of decorations and blend them with the international side of how you can able for?
Brilliant question. So for me, when I work with local raw materials, wood, plywood, iron, metal, you name it. For me, I believe say having to work with raw materials helps you to create anything you want. As an artist, it gives me an edge over the others because I saw a lot of people working with banners, and I was like, it's good to some extent, but I need something more. There needs to be shapes, patterns, figures, letters, like something intriguing. And for me, it's always that, like I said, complacency. I'm not complacent. I want something. Let me force the tire. Let me force against with the design before the clients against. And they look at this one and say, I don't get, I need to use it again. Tiwa will just below. Okay. And my mom always gets mad at me because I spend so much on building these things. Like the least you have to spend is like 10,000.
Wow.
And it goes way up because I think the person I mentioned, Gladys, her wedding, I had to spend something like 60,000 to build a single set design. So it ranges at that point because consider the price of plywood. If you get for the use 4 million, what's it called, 3/4 plywood in large sizes, board in large sizes, and the things that we build are quite massive. So the money actually multiplies, and you have to pay the staff, the craftsmen that work with you, and you have to pay for paints and all that stuff. So the nitty-gritty is in there. So it takes a lot. So for me, yeah. And I do not have money to be going to China all the time to go buy stuff. So I need to find a way to start building here and to start improvising. So that's what has been keeping me over 6 years.
Another learning point. I think say today I will keep what I want to say for now. But also, as somebody will like book so much now, you done a project of a library in Amoriton, right? Yes. How you think say you be able for motivate picking them and also big one them for be that kind of person where no one wait for government for coming, but it has to be you. And I like each statement they say, you always ask what you can do more. What can you do more? We need for left that habit or attitude of what government they do for you all the day of your life. What you will do for your community, what you will do for your country, what you will do for make the government able to pick you up. Yeah. But always people they want for wait until government come before they make road, until government come before they make pump, until government come before they get community street light and all that. But you want for begin pushing you only to corner your way. How you think say first before motivate the kids and youths, and also from there you can start up?
I always say be the change that you want to see. It starts from within. If it doesn't start from you, then it cannot flow to the next person. And thankfully, I listened when God actually told me to do this. Because I not just sit down and think about myself. God must just drop by saying it. But then I was quite stubborn to start it. And last year, I started it. And it's actually 1 year now ago since we started. So that's to tell you how consistency pays. And to be honest, I always say as well, the people who need you will find you. I have that belief system. I'm not going to sit down and wait, oh, this person needs to sponsor me, this person needs to see me. That is why everything I'm doing for that reading club, it's from the money that I earn. So the smartest thing I did was 10% of every single event goes to the reading club. I make sure that the kids get to read, and thankfully God has been blessing me. There's not one day that I've ever lacked when I need to do something, because I opened my home to angels. Speaking in our angel, when you open your home to angels, you invite angels unannounced, like unaware. We entertain angels unaware, and they live with us, they live in us. If there's anything that's crazy that wants to happen, God they about time, because you open yours to angel. And when they get to come, I always make sure that they have an interactive session, and at the end of the day, we get to give them food, refreshments. That motivates the kids to actually come the next time. And that was what actually led us to have from 7 kids, now we have 60 kids at my house. It's so full, and I'll get space. And one thing that was a bit, well, it's not shocking, it's beautiful to see. The lady I hired as the coordinator, Miss Agnes, she met me on TikTok and she was like, oh, I'd like to work with you. And I was like, okay, where can I place her? And I was like, oh, I have the perfect spot for her and I'm paying her monthly. Her, I can pay monthly because at the end of the day, she's coming 4 times a week. And I told her, oh, Miss Agnes, we're looking for a space and I want to like rent out a space because my house is getting small and I don't think we'll have land now because the community, I don't know if they'll be willing to give me a piece of land to build that, because I actually went to the church. I can't say, but I'll just say I went there and they were not willing enough to give me a space, and I told them these are for the kids. Nobody gave me an answer, and I was like, you know what, I am not going to wait for your yes, I am going to do it my way. So I took it to my house and we've been there for this 1 year. And as God will have it, in this year that we turned 1, we got an offer of a space where the person gave us the space free of charge and told us we could be there for how many years we want to stay there for. So you see how God actually works in mysterious ways, and even when He knows when you're doing something out of genuity. Because I'm not asking these kids to pay me. Most of these kids, they cannot afford 3 square meals a day. If I ask them to pay, I will be stealing from them. If God blesses me, I should be the one paying their fees, not asking them to pay me money. Because at the end of the day, I understand we pay for education, but this is something that is way more than me. I don't know where this is taking me to, but I'm willing to follow the journey where this leads to.
So, as we don't talk about all the things they have to, also as a book author for children, how you can maybe forget stories and merge them with local stories for which they look forward for writers?
Well, to be honest, I use stories of real life people, because I use a story of someone I know that's a friend of mine, and through the discussions about his childhood, and I was like, oh, this is fascinating, though it been quite mischievous, but I saw a need to write about it and to teach children how to deal with road signs and to course safely. And also, the book is also geared towards telling people to actually walk on sidewalks than walk on the main street, because the book is actually supposed to be named, or it is named, Arimah Bangura. Okay. So in the book, you see a little boy, 2 boys, actually having their motorcycle and they have their cane. So they go around the city, well, they're not terrorizing people, but then that's exactly what the story was, because if they beat people in for the sidewalk instead of the the main road, they're actually saving you from accidents anyway. So yeah, these boys get to do all of this, and then the kids do not only get to enjoy the pictures or the words, they also get to see illustrations, because I spent a fortune on illustrations. I used a local individual as well, an Imetiji, Luceni Kalon, because for me, I prefer working with locals than actually going with someone who is abroad. who's reading abroad. Yeah, it's cheaper that way, but then we are supposed to support local content. How does local content go if you not pay for it? And I paid for my services, it was professional, delivered on time, everything is ready. The only issue that we're having now is production, because the quality I want is not here in Sierra Leone, so I have to go to Ghana to go outsource what I want and then have them printed there and go back to Sierra Leone, because I have my ISBN, I have everything ready for me. It's just for me to just print and then have a book launch, and that's about it. But I know what she gets actually.
Okay, good things take time, so
Exactly.
no rush. That be the essence why I asked the question, because we see say this being there is more of things that we put on for making promote the local content and policy and all that. So all the things they also have, you see, if you able to get a story, local story, they're able for share experiences, blend with the layman. Even that picking self like Kabbalah, being Kabbalah, we will say, okay, this story, that's a new story and all that. And also, from this book, I think say, as we talk about road science and all that, we see most of the roads around the city now get traffic lights, and also that may help for make they know the road science. Because I don't think say SNRSA and Sierra Leone police they do enough for make people understand some of the signs them on the roads. When them for TNAP, for wait for traffic lights, when people for cross, who stand at the right side for cross, people can just go anyhow, but with them books they I think say people in able for learn all that stuff with the small. Because if beginner at the bookshop or at the library, he came with come and explain to them, I said, no, at least we can't them from the themselves came before take and learn. So coming to the end of the program, how you see Arimah's enterprise as I want to put everything together in the future? So you see everything.
Well, I do have a clear vision of where I want to see myself. With God's help. In future, I hope to own a huge art enterprise, which does not only deal with art supplies by supplying schools with art products and all that stuff, but I also want to have a resource center for kids, like it's quite big. Make sure that it is free for these kids, keyword free, because I think it's so easy to be immersed with money that we keep forgetting that not everyone can actually afford quality education, not everyone can afford quality access to skills. Teach these kids skills that they can actually do. When it comes to an age where they're teenagers, because the ones I'm working with now, they're from the ages of 3 to about 13. If we can give these kids valid skills, by the time they're going to university, we will have a breed of entrepreneurs coming up. And by the time you know it, these kids will be making money before even going to university or even having a job. Because I've seen firsthand the power of entrepreneurship when I was a student and even after leaving university, because this will be like what, 4 to 5 years. I've never worked a day in my life in a 9-to-5 office because I don't like sitting in one place. And now I get to work for the university, and it's not like it's a sit-down job. I get to teach. So I think it all is all intertwined, and I feel like if I can get these things done in the future, and my business obviously being one of the top leading event companies, not only in Sierra Leone, I wish to, or I hope to, with God, move to other countries such as Gambia, for instance, and move to other neighboring countries and see how I can spread my tentacles. Then I think I will be able to do something.
Definitely, I think with this few, you need to be part of the Ministry of Basic and Higher Education and all that, because from the perspective,
I would love to be a Minister of Education. It's between Minister of Education or Minister of Tourism. That's one of the two between. because I have a passion for teaching people about the history and culture of Sierra Leone, and that's why we do teach the kids at the Leone Club about it. And I do have passion for education. I love to teach. I love people who actually embrace education. So that's just it for me, if I can be one of the two.
The vision is clear. From explaining all of this, I'm seeing that vision from that perspective. I want you to also, while closing, say a word of you to the youth out there who are the work addicts who mistakenly one way or the other have missed a step along the way. Word of encouragement to them as we round up.
Okay, my word of encouragement will not only to those set of people, but also people who are still trying to navigate life, who are still students, who are going through a quarter life crisis, because we go through that as young people in our youthful age. When you go to 40, 50s, then you go to a midlife crisis. So first of all, there is nothing wrong with you. You are absolutely amazing and incredible. Just take time to know what exactly is your passion. What exactly makes you happy? What do you wake up in the morning and look forward to doing? Find it and do it. I usually say that I do not have two brains, I just have one. Look around your surroundings. What is missing? How can you make a change? You don't even need to have money to start. Like I already said, I did not have money when I started. A lot of people will now look at my social media following or spaces, and they'll think that I just came today and I'm here. It took me 6 years to be where I'm at. It took me discipline. There are days I cry a lot. There are days I want to give up. But because I know the future that I want to have, I want to stand up tall and actually speak, and people listen to me, people give me the respect that I should be accorded to as a young person. That is why I persevere and I push. And for those that find their way wanting to go into an addiction or to find a way to go into drugs, I think one thing I would say to you, find a hobby that can actually take your mind off doing things that you're not supposed to do. Peer pressure should not allow you to be in a particular space where you are not meant to be. Like I'd already mentioned, in the university, if you can pull through without going into a club or sorority, I think there's nothing that can actually pull you to go to somewhere you don't want to. If there's one thing you could do for your family, if you're sorry for the people, it'll take you go far. That kitty I dey sorry for me mama, for me papa even go now. I remember say if there's anything that I would do that's crazy outside, me mama my forced to bear the brunt of this place and embarrassment. Forget me family because uncle and auntie them will say I don't sabi this person, but me mama, she's always there. So if you do not want to put your parents in that form of jeopardy and paranoia, I think you need to first of all think about your parents. That's if you have a good relationship with them, but even if you do not have a good relationship with them, think about your future as well. Who you want to become. You don't want to up to Bambai and then you want to get a big position at this country. They like tomorrow and somebody look you and say, would you have big left hand, they look you sit down. What's you want to do? If they make so, if they make so, if they make so. We don't want fingers pointed at you at that point, at that time. We're all humans, we're not perfect. I would have made mistakes in my earlier age and I do regret most of those things, but then I found a way to find a U-turn and make sure that I do what's best for myself and my community, and I think that's what I'll be doing.
Thank you very much. I think we'll definitely find another time to host the podcast because we cannot comprehend everything for just today. But with this, we've learned a lot from the session, and I think to the youths, let's always try to make a positive change in our lives. It starts with you. It starts with one decision. It starts with U-turn. It starts with hard work, perseverance, attention. Hard work is the key, and respect for elders, it pays. With these few words, I will draw the curtains for today and say, stay focused. Always remember where you're coming from. If you know how you come out, you know how you go. These are the words of encouragement we will left now today. This is Milo's podcast. Keep liking, keep sharing, and keep following our pages for more. Thank you.
I always got around. Hey, Milo's Youth Podcast is in town. Hey, bringing hope and spreading cheer. Hey, for the youth of Sierra Leone, we're here. Hey, hey, hey. Milo's Youth Podcast, come and see. Hey, empowering dreams, setting minds free. Together we grow, together we thrive. With Milo's Youth